All right, fellas, what's going on? Hopefully you guys had Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and as Caleb points out, maybe he's Canadian in the chat here, it is Boxing Day for us in Canada. Before, I don't know, 10 years ago, we never had Black Friday, so Boxing Day was kind of our Black Friday where we would all go get the best deals or whatever, but now we have Black Friday also, so it's nice. We got a couple shopping days of the year. But anyways, we do have a very important slate of games here, of course, with the fantasy championships on the line for some people. Hopefully you got a good start to your week yesterday with the Christmas games. Maybe you got a big Lamar performance or your opponent had CJ Stroud or something like that. Hopefully you guys got off to a good start here. And Caleb says, Bush, I'm coming for you in tone setters. Good luck. Good luck, Caleb. Maybe during the stream, maybe I can show some of the progress of my 4 championships and how I'm doing so far.
You know, by the way, I'm projected 185 this week in Tone Setter Truthers.
Tough.
Yeah, that's awesome. Especially
we do have some site questions. Of course, if you guys do want to skip the line, get some start sit questions answered, you can head to the link down below in the description. It says ask a question or get your team reviewed, and then you go over there, fill out the start sit question, so on and so forth. We will be live Saturday morning before the games and Sunday morning before the games, and we'll have both of our tier lists tomorrow. So make sure you guys stay tuned for all of that stuff. But we do have Jobby 2 in the chat here. He says in the chip, of course, he has Burrow, Cook, Brian Robinson, Adams, Lamb. No Lamb.
Potentially no Adams too, by the way. DNP again today.
Really? Okay. So definitely no Lamb, potentially no Adams here. Steelers defense. So you're looking here at quarterback.
I think he mentioned here
your quarterback listed here. But anyways, we'll go continue the rest of the questions. These are all great options, man. Holy crap. I'll probably roll Achane first of that group and Chase Brown second. Is that what you're probably doing?
Yeah, those two with ease for sure. We'll talk about Bucky versus Brace in a second. So Neighbors is also a clear game time decision according to himself.
Yeah, so, like I'm playing Higgins over Neighbors in Listener League right now.
I would do that
I would
as well.
put Higgins in over Neighbors, and then it would probably be McConkey.
McConkey would be. I like McConkey this week.
And then tight end, you're going to go Jonnu or David Njoku. This is close, man.
It's Jonnu because David Njoku had an MRI on his knee, hasn't practiced all week. So there is it was actually funny because when we did the live stream yesterday, I went about it. I'm like, okay, he's going to be fine. He was questionable all of last week. He's going to be fine. But apparently the knee issue is actually something that flared up in last week's game. So if you have David Njoku, again, something to monitor, make sure you're keeping tabs with it. But I mean, Jonnu's just such a consistent target option at this point. And on top of that, I mean, hey, don't you want to root with us? We have Jonnu Smith on our BBM team.
We do. Yes. Let's roll with Jonnu Smith. We are off to a nice little start in our BBM team. Oh, yeah. If the BBM contest ended now, which would be nice if it did, because Danny Spicy Hot and I would be spitting 75 grand 3 ways if that was the case, because we got Lamar Jackson getting us out to a very, very nice start yesterday. Unfortunately, Nico Collins didn't really have the greatest game, nor did Rashad Bateman, but we did get a touchdown from Isaiah Likely, so we got a 7.7 point floor out of our tight end position. But hopefully we continue to climb up the ranks. We need an absolute barn burner Green Bay, Minnesota game. If we start really getting, climbing up the leaderboards, we'll probably be live Sunday during the day at some point.
Mason asked if we wanted to as well.
Yeah, like if by halftime of the Packers and Vikings game, or even before the 4 p.m. games kick off, if we just got like a great performance or two from the 1 p.m. games, the Saturday games, so on and so forth, we might just live sweat the BBM team. If we're actually in range of winning some serious cash, we will for sure. Who should I be rooting for you guys? Brock says I'm invested. Okay, so
I'll send you the team.
The easy answer. Green Bay, Minnesota's got a shootout because we have Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, Dontavian Wicks on the Green Bay side. On the Viking side, Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson. So we need that game to shoot out. Running back wise, we have James Conner, who plays on Saturday night. We also have Tajay Spears. So we're hoping Tony Pollard doesn't play this week because we need Spears with a full workload.
Great matchup as well. So he is chalk, but he's only 16.3% chalk, whereas James Conner a little bit more chalky. He's the highest.
James Conner is the highest rostered running back of any team in BBM. So,
which we were talking about this off camera. People kind of overstate chalk sometimes because, especially in this circumstance for us. Yes, is James Conner going to be rostered by 40% of the teams? Sure, that's very chalky. But not every one of those teams is going to have James Conner paired with Lamar Jackson, who already scored over 32 points. So, in fact, we want those teams benefiting off of James Conner as long as they have inferior quarterbacks to what Lamar Jackson's given us.
Yeah, and I've always thought that chalk was a little overrated in the DFS sense too, because it's like if somebody's a good play and they have a great game, yes, you won't climb as much because other people have that player. But if you have him too, and he's the guy you need, which James Conner could be, some of these,
Great matchup.
Josh Jacobs also pretty highly rostered, Brian Thomas Jr. pretty highly rostered, who we also have on our team. Just if he's a good player and he scores the most points, and who gives a shit? It's an 18 round draft. Nobody's going to have duplicate teams. Like maybe two teams, like there's 4 other teams that have Lamar and Brian Thomas Jr. on them or whatever. Like, but there's a highly, highly unlikely scenario in which all of some of the higher rostered guys we have are all on the same team.
Exactly. Right. And also, I mean, how funny would it be if you guys rewatch that stream again? Like we've posted on our Twitter before, the link to that stream. We got auto drafted James Conner.
We did. We literally got auto. I almost took a third quarterback in the stream. I was like, oh, should we go Jaden Daniels here? I was like, we should go Jaden Daniels here because I forgot we took Lamar. So I thought we had Jordan Love as our only quarterback at the time. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll go Jaden Daniels here. And then like right at like 5-second mark, Danny's like, no, we already have 2 quarterbacks. And I was like, oh shit. So we cleared Jaden Daniels out of the queue. And then James Conner got auto drafted to us. And James Conner is like literally the guy you need right now. He is the highest rostered running back in BBM's final.
The guy scored over 25 points in each of the quarter and semifinals.
Yeah. And if he goes nuts again, like I
might have to get a James Conner jersey, man.
Yeah, literally. I'll buy a jersey if we win more than 20 grand or something like that.
Highest scoring player
for whoever was the highest scoring player on our team, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I'm doing the exact same thing, and I'm hanging that in the background. And anytime somebody on stream, why do you have an X jersey in the background when you're a Cowboys fan? Oh, fun story for you. Back last year when he won us fucking X million dollars or whatever.
Yeah, no. What would suck though, the one thing that's going to suck is that if we are finishing pretty highly, I mean, it's not going to suck, but if we are finishing pretty highly, we got to sweat out both Sunday night and Monday Night Football. Because we have nobody playing, right?
Yeah, a lot of scaling in those games too.
And like Detroit and San Francisco play on Monday night, which means that there's going to be a lot of people with Gibbs. There's going to be a lot of people with St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jared Goff. Like these guys have all had really good weeks during the playoff best ball or the best ball mania playoff week. So
we got to hope the unsungs fucking win it. Like we're talking like that's got to be a huge Isaac Garendo game. That's got to be a huge Greg Reynolds, Sione Bob.
Yeah, guys that weren't drafted, like throw a fucking touchdown to a
Brock Wright,
an offensive lineman or something in those games. What we need, here's what we're manifesting. We need a 40-point cushion. We're in first place by 40. So we don't need to worry about anything.
If we end up in first place by 40, I think I'd shed real tears. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, dude, I would shed real tears if we were in first place by 40. We get a pretty nutted scenario there. But
for the record, you guys got to think contextually for us too. 1.5 million is like what? 2.1 million Canadian?
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, we don't win the 1.5 million. We're splitting it 3 ways if we win it.
But even still, like you're doing the math, 500K American, that's what, 700K
each, yeah.
710.
Yeah. I mean, well, 500K for Spicy Hot. They would. I'm pretty sure there's like a WBN or whatever that you have to fucking fill out before they release the funds to you or whatever. So there'd be some tax implications. But I already talked. I'm like, we'll fucking cross that bridge if we get there.
Yeah, and again, like we could figure it out too. I mean, like for what it's worth, in our contract with Underdog, they already know that us and Spicy Hot like make content with that account anyway. So yeah, I'm sure like it'd be a lot more sus if like a random Joe Schmo was like in that perspective, but like they know we use that for streaming. So
yeah. So who are we thinking here in this last flex spot? Are we going Irving?
It's got to be Bucky. I mean, you got a smash spot against Carolina. Liam Cohen actually went on record talking about how inexcusable it was, the ball security last week. And I mean, he literally got asked in interviews, like, we teach these guys every day, so that's unacceptable. Like, that makes me think Rachaad White might get not phased out, but instead of maybe a 12 to 14 touch projection, maybe this guy's in 7 to 10 touches, which could only mean good things for Bucky in that spot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Also, Spicy, if you're here and you're free, we could maybe rip another playoff best ball draft if you're down. I also, by the way, I should drop the weekly rankings manifesto in the chat. If you guys do have start sit questions, I updated my rankings this morning. There are some things that I may need to update based on some of the practice reports that we saw. Like, for example, CeeDee Lamb, I believe, is still in my rankings, so I need to take him out. But if you guys have a simple start sit question that you're looking over, our weekly rankings manifesto is free today for the weeks for those of you guys that have questions, because we had Christmas and whatnot, so we had to dial back the content. Plus, it's the championship. We don't want to make sure there's a paywall behind winning your title or whatever. So
100%.
If you guys do just have a simple start set question, we drop that in the chat for you.
No worries, Spicy.
Also,
if you guys are with us tonight, what we're rooting for, again, root for your Charbonnet, root for your JSN, root for whatever you need in your fantasy championship. As long as none of those guys go completely nuclear because we don't have them, that's fine.
Yeah, as long as they're not the guy you need, we get 40 points from Charbonnet or something like that, that would be not ideal. Or worse, to be honest, 40 points from JSN, somebody who's already highly rostered.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing about chalk that is, I think, more important, is you don't want the chalk that you don't have hitting.
Exactly. We got Jelenius here. I believe that's just sent a question in. Thank you for being here last minute. Yeah, I got you, bro. Are you?
Yeah, we'll refresh here after this question. Yeah. So, tight end Kraft injured versus Chigakonkwo, defense Philly, Chargers, Bills flex. Okay, so
is Kraft's injury serious?
I'm gonna be honest. I've been at family shit for the last 2 days, so I got to look up some of this most recent news until tomorrow's stuff here.
Well, there we go. I mean, this is Jelenius then. Perfect. I mean, I do believe you, considering the YouTube username. Don't think
John Alenius.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So he was limited in practice on Thursday. I don't imagine Musgrave actually is practicing again, so we could get him coming back. I think
I'm comfortable just leaning Chig so you don't deal with it.
So call me crazy, but why is Chig all of a sudden people
11 targets last week and Mason Rudolph starting again?
Okay, so we got 2 good games in a row now out of Chig, so that's why everybody's leaning into it. Doesn't this sound?
Fuck off! I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Aren't we?
I wonder if that's
by a tight end who randomly flashes a high target share.
I wonder if Chig's the next Brenton Strange.
Yeah. Also, I saw Liam's team that he got through, and it is mental. I don't know if you saw how good his JT team is. It's he's got 18 live players that are all good and all have good matchups. It is a really good team.
Makes me jealous that I didn't.
It's all good. He can come in second. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you said one back. He's had 2 games straight, 21 targets in the last 2 games. So he's
I mean, we'll roll with Chig because Tucker Kraft is banged up. But if I'm going to be completely honest with you, I think Kraft is the better play for the reason that he's been consistent all year, getting targets and whatnot. And it's a great game environment. And biasly, I hope that game shoots out, and I think it will.
For what it's worth, if Kraft is fully healthy, I'm perfectly fine with it. But if he's listed questionable, Chig does play at 1 and Kraft plays at 4.
Yeah. I have Kraft higher in my rankings by not a considerable amount, but a decent amount.
Yeah, I don't think that's outrageous at all. It's more so just
yeah. So I would personally go with Kraft. At the defensive spot, you got Philadelphia, Chargers, or Bills.
Got to go with Philly with no Lamb on the Cowboys side.
Yeah, Philly at home versus no Lamb seems like a pretty good option. The Chargers against New England's not bad. Bills against the Jets is pretty good as well, but I would go Philly as well.
Philly's on the road now.
No, versus Dallas at home.
They're at home?
Yeah.
Wow, so the line's that low even still at home?
Yeah. Apparently.
I thought it wasn't the line 5.5?
Must be.
Yeah, my bad then. Yes.
And then Neighbors, London, or Devontae Smith. So he has 2 flex spots listed here, so I'm assuming he can start 2 of them.
I mean, London's the clear one.
Side against Neighbors, given the injury that he's entering the game with, and saying he's a game time decision.
See, the counter I would have to that is we do have Barkley at 1. When Neighbors also at 1, correct? Yeah, both games are at 1. If Neighbors plays, I'm playing Neighbors. If Neighbors doesn't play, I'm playing Smith. The reason why I would have Smith over even an injured Neighbors, we got Kenny Pickett starting with a reported rib injury.
Yeah, dude. I don't even think this is close, man. If Neighbors plays, even if Neighbors plays, I'm playing Smith.
No, I'm playing Neighbors over Smith. If Neighbors plays.
Yeah.
I'm not playing Smith with Kenny Pickett and rib injury.
Kenny Pickett, I forgot he plays for the Eagles. Yeah, with no Hurts, that's definitely.
With that being said, I think my answer would just be London and Jerome Ford. A banged up Neighbors or a fucking Kenny Pickett injured Devontae Smith versus Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford's been good, man. And he's got a smash spot against Miami. I think the answer is
It
Jerome
irritates
Ford.
me that Jerome Ford had a good week last week when I was so sure he was going to not do well. He just happened to like break off a 70-yard run to start the game.
He's kind of him. I can't lie.
It irritated the fuck out of me when I was talking shit about Jerome Ford on the running back tier list all week. And then the first play of the game, he just cracks a 70-yard run. I'm like, you are so irritating. Because also, too, I had Jerome Ford on my team most of the year on the Flock League, and he did fucking nothing. And that was with Nick Chubb off the field, too.
Dude, if he wins Thomas the championship, he's legendary.
That's so irritating. But anyways, yeah,
London already said he's going to play, by the way. He already got
I would still play Neighbors over Ford, to be honest.
I would play Ford. Questionable Neighbors. He said he's a game time decision. Him himself
starting again, man. Like, you trust that?
I don't trust it, but also it's like for a player themselves to say I'm a game time decision, it probably means that they're in considerable pain. Because otherwise, how many times are fucking players going to admit that they're in pain?
Yeah,
usually they just be like, I'm playing. You know?
Yeah, it's a good point. I'll give you Ford. I'll capitulate.
Like they're close. Don't get me wrong. If Neighbors was fully healthy, I'd go Neighbors. But like they're close enough where it's like with that context in mind, I would go with Ford.
Let's get back to this here. Okay, PPR Paisano.
Let's go. Fucking Italiano over here.
Elite name, actually. Versus Nix, Charbonnet, T, Hill, Neighbors, Bowers, Kyron. So a pretty complete team he's going up against here. Wide receiver wise, I'm playing McConkey over Metcalf for sure.
I have fucking Metcalf buried.
Yeah, I took the lower on his half PPR fantasy points in my pick'em entry, which I can go over in a little bit.
We could show those in a second too.
Yeah,
I made one. It's Addison
here or Downs?
Comfortably Addison.
I think it's Addison as well for me.
I love that. I love Addison this week.
Yeah,
I mean, no bias, of course, but
yeah. And then are we going to go Ford at running back? Or are you going? I mean, if Pollard is out, I would play Spears over Ford.
That's exactly how I'd play it.
I mean,
Pollard is playing
opiuming here with our BBM team with Addison and Spears, though.
Maybe, but if Pollard's out, I still think Spears is the process play. Going up against Jacksonville, he played even when Pollard was active last week. He played 61% of the snaps, gets receiving usage, big playability. The defense going to give up. That's going to be a high scoring game environment. Like, what's the over under for that game, dude? Both those defenses fucking given up.
It's not high.
How?
Because the teams suck.
Dude, like I wouldn't be shocked if that was like a 33-30 game with how bad the defenses are.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. And again, that could be copium on your end, hoping that BTJ and Tajay get there for our BBM team. But yeah, if Pollard is out, I'm going with Spears there for sure.
Yeah,
but you got a good looking team, man. Hopefully you got a chance to take it down here. Damien got Vidal off of waivers. Who should I bench for him? Okay, so first of all, Dobbins hasn't been rolled out yet. So if Dobbins is playing, then you don't play Vidal at all, in my opinion. Like I would probably not play him. And depending on your other options here, we'll take a look.
Ridley.
Very to go Ridley and Myers.
Yep.
Oh,
Watson's going to be out.
Flex decisions after this. Okay, tight end. You going Chig over Ertz?
Yeah, very comfortable.
He does. Okay, I thought he had Daniels. That was the last team.
He's got McLaurin, right?
He does have McLaurin. Yeah, you're right. So flex decision here.
Myers
has
is one of them
as well.
Myers.
I mean, Myers is pretty easy. Like I would probably play Metcalf even over those two running backs. Like I don't love Metcalf this week, but I still think I'm playing him over Dobbins coming in off a 4-game absence and Vidal in a split backfield.
Dude, can I make a case? I don't think Tank Bigsby's out of the question.
I do.
Against Tennessee?
Yeah. It's been usage
with no Devontae Sweat.
It's been more ETN the last couple weeks.
12 plus opportunities.
Like Bigsby hasn't exceeded a 30% snap share since week 14.
No, I get that, but 12 plus opportunities in each of his last 3 games and goal line equity.
There's not a huge difference in his workload right now between him and Tyler Algier.
I mean, he's getting touchdown equity right now because he's getting the goal line work.
I guess, but
for what it's worth, he wouldn't be my answer. But I'm just saying,
snaps 2 weeks ago, ETN had.
Well, dude, trust me, he wouldn't be my answer. But if you told me that Tank Bigsby scored 2 touchdowns and 20 points, I wouldn't be shocked. He's like my RB27 this week.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think the answer here is that you take Ridley out of the wide receiver spot here and you put Metcalf in.
Yeah, I think that's the safe play.
Metcalf in tonight because he's playing on Thursday Night Football, and then this would be the lineup I'm rolling with. Again, I think this team has some holes for sure. Hopefully you can pull it together, but this is probably your best case scenario. To me, I'm not willing to trust the Chargers running backs, knowing that Dobbins is coming in off of an injury, and even if Dobbins was out, man, I still think Vidal and Haskins would split the backfield.
Right, because it's like I can't even say, can I pose you a question? Because it's like DK plays tonight. If you don't put him in,
yeah,
you can't.
I would much rather play Metcalf anyways. Like I know Metcalf has a tough matchup, and he hasn't been great in the last couple of games. He's been below. Like the stat I said in my TikTok was he's been below 11.05 half PPR fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games. Like he hasn't been good. He also hasn't been scoring touchdowns recently too. So
exactly, it's like even because the thing is, if Dobbins plays, you're getting more than likely going to be a committee. I don't expect Dobbins to come back and get.
I don't personally think that that Vidal playing without JK would lead to Vidal getting a huge workload. I think Haskins
split
the backfield.
That and it's like even if he did get a big workload, you're not playing him over Ridley.
Yeah,
because you can't play him over Metcalf.
Well, you have to play. If this is assuming you've benched Metcalf.
Which
the intention of playing a Charger running back, which best case scenario is a Dobbins plays for you. And even in that scenario, I don't feel great about his workload.
See, I would disagree. I think the best case scenario for the Chargers running back is Dobbins being out and Vidal being the starter, because I do think even if Dobbins is ruled in, he's not going to go back to workhorse status that he had before he got hurt.
He might not, but I just think he's way better than Vidal. So even if he's only,
he is coming off an injury though.
Whatever. Yeah, but when he suffered the injury, a lot of fantasy docs didn't actually think he was going to go to IR. They thought he was only going to miss a game or 2.
Well, with that being said, though, like you have to play Metcalf tonight because of the risk level, and then it's not like you're playing either of those guys over Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is a top 20.
No, Calvin Ridley in a revenge game against Jacksonville. This is what dreams were made of for week 17 here.
Hey, he can have a couple big plays down on the 1 and Spears punches them in. I'd be cool with that.
I would love that. I would love that. This is a crazy question here. You got Achane, Chase Brown, and Charbonnet. I mean, you're playing Achane's my highest.
Chase Brown. Achane and Chase Brown.
I guess here's the thing.
Chase Brown's in your lineup period.
You got to sit BTJ though.
No, you can play him too.
No, you can't. Two flexes. You're playing Chase Brown and Charbonnet over him, I think.
You're not playing Charbonnet over BTJ.
Oh, I would play Charbonnet over BTJ any day of the week.
Let's make the bet right now.
Charbonnet gets nails workloads anytime he plays.
BTJ is my wide receiver 7 this week.
Wow. It's a bit of a conundrum that we got here.
I have Chase Brown at RB6 and BTJ at RB7. I like Charbonnet a lot.
Friggin' depth is too. He doesn't even have Hubbard listed here or London.
For me, it's BTJ.
I want Charbonnet here, dude. I got Charbonnet as a top 7 running back this week.
I got Chase Brown at RB6 and BTJ at wide receiver 7.
The Bears are dog shit against the run, dude.
I don't disagree, but also he lost touches to Kenny McIntosh last week.
Yeah, I
like Charbonnet. He's a top 15 running back.
I'll move him down to 9. But like I love him this week, man. I think he's got a great.
You can't have him ranked over Chase Brown, knowing that Chase Brown's going to get.
No, I have Chase Brown at 6.
Okay, so you have Chase Brown higher. Where do you have BTJ ranked?
I have BTJ at wide receiver 9.
Okay, I thought you were going to say something lower. Okay, so you're high on all these guys.
8 because I just had to take Lamb out of my rankings.
I have him at Chase Brown at 6, BTJ at 7. Where do I have Charbonnet ranked? I believe.
Christian says, "See what I'm dealing with? I'm Bracey." Like, hey, it's a good problem to have. You got a bunch of great projections. And unfortunately, you're going to realize that when you have a bunch of great projections, you're going to get some of your start sits wrong. But like when it goes wrong for you, it's going wrong in the way that it's like, oh no, I only won this much money instead of that much money. You know what I mean? Like it's when you wish you would have bet a parlay instead of hitting all your straight bets. Like it's fine. Like it's chill. Like you have too many good projections to fail here.
So I actually had Charbonnet a little bit lower than I wanted to. I moved him up to I'm going to move him up to 10 because I actually do like the matchup a lot better versus Hubbard's. But I have Bucky over him, Kyron over him, Jacobs, Chase Brown, Achane, Taylor, Bijan, Barkley, Gibbs in ascending order.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go. Are we going Thomas here or are we going?
I mean, it's so funny. Kevin needs that answer too.
I'm starting.
I would go BTJ.
I think it's Charbonnet, man. I got a literal one of the worst run defenses in the league for a guy who gets workhorse touches, and they're favored by 3.5 points. And I think I would like the Seahawks minus 3.5 too. I think they're going to beat them by more than that.
I would go BTJ. BTJ since the bye week. And keep in mind, he was banged up going into the bye week. Has that bye week, gets healthy. Since the bye week, 10 targets, 12 targets, 14 targets, 13 targets, 4 touchdowns in that stretch. And he has multiple games over 30 fantasy points. Championship week against the Titans defense that has given up, who just allowed 38 to the AR-led fucking Colts.
I know. It's crazy. I mean, Tennessee has had a pretty decent defense against wide receivers. I mean, BTJ went 8 for 86 with no touchdown against them 3 weeks ago, but I just think I literally just think Charbonnet is fucking absolutely nailed.
I love both these guys this week. For me, it's like, who can win me a fucking fantasy championship?
To me, that's Charbonnet. We saw what he did a couple weeks back.
We've seen what BTJ's done the last 2 weeks.
Right, but I got 25 touch running back against a bottom 5 run defense. I'll take that.
I got a receiver that's gotten 10 plus targets in each of his last 4 games as a fucking rookie. 6'2", 209
I know, but he is still catching passes from Mac Jones, and that's how it fails you.
Dude, has fucking Mac Jones been evidently worse than Trevor Lawrence since he took over?
Yes.
Has he? Look at the numbers.
Yes.
Look at the for supporting fantasy wide receivers. Look at the numbers.
I'm saying this. Generally speaking, workhorse running back, greater than sign over number 1 wide receiver for
Charbonnet's a top 10 running back for me this week. It's more so Brian Thomas Jr. is a 4.3 speed rookie receiver that's at 10 plus targets in his last 4 games.
Yes, but they're Mac Jones targets.
He's fucking phenomenal on them.
The workhorse running back is one of the safest projections in fantasy, especially when they got good matchups, and this one's got a good matchup.
I love Charbonnet, but for the Mac Jones risk that Brian Thomas Jr. has, you also have the Kenny McIntosh risk. I think that
Kenny McIntosh risk is not nearly as severe as Mac Jones having a terrible game and putting up 3 points.
Have you seen Mac Jones from a fantasy perspective? Yeah, and this too. Tennessee's fucking defense is not nearly what it was, for the record. They are completely bad.
Yeah, also, like, what are you referring to as Kenny McIntosh risk? The last time that Charbonnet started, he was an 80% snap share running back.
I'm talking about last week.
Last week, Kenneth Walker was playing. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, but Kenny McIntosh got more snaps. I'm not saying that fucking Charbonnet's bad. He's a top 10 running back for me. Like, what are we talking about here?
He got more carries for whatever reason.
I mean, you're hating on Mac Jones. He's averaging like 240 passing yards per game, 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games, and fucking Brian Thomas Jr. just caught 80% of them.
What do you guys think is more likely in the chat? Charbonnet loses touches to Kenny McIntosh, or the Jags score 3 points? To me, it's way more likely.
Do you think the Jags are scoring 3 points against the Titans?
The Jags are live to throw up a stinker against anybody. Scored 6 points against Minnesota. Minnesota's defense isn't very good in the secondary. Their front's good.
Yeah, dude, it's Brian Flores against fucking Mac Jones. You think the Titans are causing that type of pressure up front?
No, but they also, for what it's worth, the last time they played the Titans, they scored 10 points.
Yeah.
10.
And he went 8 for 86 with 12 targets in that game.
Yeah, which Charbonnet's going to beat.
They're fucking both crystal clean projections.
Dude, they scored less than 14 points in 4 of their last 6 games.
I don't know. We're talking about wide receiver 7 versus RB10 here. Is there really a fucking huge divide?
No, there's not a difference here. But
I don't want to be blamed for someone losing. For what it's worth, I fully expect Charbonnet to have 20 plus PPR points, but that's more of an indictment on how much I
capitulated on yours, so we're capitulating on mine here.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that.
Even though Charbonnet should not be in the flex for what Kenny McIntosh is right.
Who was the wide receivers in the fucking team?
They were mentally good, like Puka Nacua and like somebody else. I can't remember who the other one was, but it was like 2 elite receivers.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I wish we saw who
I want to show real quick what's happening in my sleeper matchups, just because I thought it'd be fun. 3.5. Yeah.
What are the chances they score over 3 points? It's crazy.
So shout out to our listener redraft league. I am in the final against Mountain Man Mike. If Mike's in the chat here, just shout me out here. Lamar, beautiful start for me. I don't know. Does he have anybody that's like injured right now? See, you know what sucks about his team? He has 3 players that are on our BBM team that I have to cheer against. He has TJ Hawkinson, Brian Thomas
Simply
Jr.
just cheer for them because what's
and
more
Josh
important
Jacobs.
to you?
I mean, let's just hope that I drop such a nuke on him that it doesn't matter.
With respect, Bush, just cheer for the fucking league that's the most important to you, and I think it's the one that you could win $1.5 million.
Oh, for sure. I'm at a point, like, my team is so good in our listener league that I have to bench Malik Neighbors, Darnell Mooney, Jamison Williams, and Jonnu Smith. That's how good my team is in this league.
Yeah. No.
And Neighbors is not a guarantee that I bench. Like if Higgins is coming into the game banged up or whatever, like that's where I'm at with it. But
yeah, no,
yeah,
I feel
a
you.
couple other games. I mean, I got Corey Van. Look at the numbers he's putting up against me so far here. Look at this.
Good for him.
Why isn't it only showing the projection?
Probably because sleeper fucking best ball is
What the heck?
glitched.
It's being okay. Well,
Lamar.
you can see Lamar. He had it in his lineup there, and then he also had somebody else. Yeah, he also had Worthy too. So not a great start for me, but I have my team is just so good in that league, so I'm not really that worried.
That's like me and
Debbie
Lazar.
Degeneracy against Bindles also. I had somebody go decent for me. I think it was
Dude, I'm so salty I didn't make the championship in that league. But fucking Christ.
Fryermuth.
Bindles put up 250 on me last week, dude.
Yeah, that's not great.
Fucking Christ.
And then my other championship, Caleb mentioned this in the chat earlier. This is Tone Setter Truthers. He had Andrews put up a nice day against me, which is not great.
I mean, speaking of Charbonnet, you're pretty much cheering against him because look who we just traded for him.
Oh, damn, dude. So my team's obviously got some hammers with Mayfield and Taylor and Barkley and these guys, but this is gonna be an even match, man. Like if you look at the projections down the board, like you go quarterbacks, like slight favor to him. Then you go running back, slight favor to him. Then second running back, slight favor to me. Like pretty even on the projection, but I'd give St. Brown the advantage there. You got McLaurin versus Wilson, pretty even on the projection. Kittle is projected for about what Andrews did. You got Smitty versus Cup as an even projection listed there. Chuba Hubbard versus Hunter Henry is a nice advantage for me. So maybe that's where I'm going to get salty. Back. Tracy versus Jennings, and then I like Purdy versus Goff. Like I don't know what Purdy does to glaze the fuck out of the like sleeper projections, but why is he projected for 5 more points than Jared Goff?
Yeah.
He's been objectively better than him all year.
Oh, dude, I just realized, by the way, on the bright side, wait, I'm gonna have to place a non-quarterback in my super flex if Hurts doesn't play because he got locked in and Russell Wilson played yesterday. It's only the third place game, but could you imagine how annoyed I would have been if I was in the championship right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, you probably would have been paying more attention if you were in the championship for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, but he played on Wednesday. He played Christmas.
Right, but if you were in the championship game, you would have like been checking your lineup and making sure everything you had was in.
No, I know, but like there was more information.
Like you would have thought of that decision already. You would have been like, "Oh God, am I gonna have to play Russell Wilson this week?"
Well, I was already thinking about that, but the problem was that Jalen Hurts wasn't a guarantee to play.
Right.
But like it looked more promising yesterday than it did this morning because the line was at 9.5.
Yeah, and also they signed somebody to the practice squad right today.
Yeah, and by the way, I will go through a couple of my championships as well. This is the one that I share with Flet. We got a big start already. Lamar Jackson locked into the super flex. We didn't set that, but aside from that, hopefully Neighbors does play. If he doesn't play, we'll probably have to go maybe a Tank Bigsby, maybe a Jalen Coker, maybe someone like that. But regardless, though, the rest of the team, Purdy, Bijan, Achane, Amonra, Chase, Laporta, and then Alexander Madison, nice spot against New Orleans. A lot of opportunity last week. And we just saw what New Orleans defense allowed to not just Josh Jacobs, to my dismay, but the entire running back corpse of the fucking Packers because they wanted to have 3 separate running backs score touchdowns in it. And I lost by 4.8 in one of my BBMs. So that wasn't fun, but yeah.
That quickly before you go over another team, we just got another question in here. I just want to make sure we
get to that in a second.
Flex decision here from Jalen. Lamb declared out 1 minute after I sent the first one. Okay, so Jerome Ford, Tucker Kraft, Devontae Smith, Tyrone Tracy, Jalen McMillan here. If Hurts plays, I would go with Devontae Smith, but if Hurts is out, I'd probably go Jerome Ford there.
Yeah, and for me, it's a pretty easy solution. If Neighbors doesn't play, you slide in McMillan and you enjoy a top 30 wide receiver in my rankings this week.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel comfortable with Jalen McMillan being ranked that high for people. I would probably still start Smith over McMillan, to be honest, even if Pickett was starting.
Jalen McMillan, last 3 games, 57 plus receiving yards, 4 touchdowns in his last 3 games. Tampa Bay is implied for nearly 29 points at home this week.
It's pretty good.
PPR
Should I go
league?
for an arms race trade here, Danny? Do you got someone you want to trade me in Tone Setters?
If you're willing to pay up, because I'm planning on competing again next year.
What would you give me? What would it cost me for Jerome Ford right now?
Make an offer.
What would you be ideally looking for?
Either pick equity or just a more valuable player that doesn't do
Okay.
you as good this week.
I don't have my 2, so I can't give you my 2.
Do you have your 26 too?
I do have my 26 too.
Okay, we can work it.
I also, I mean, for what it's worth, I could probably use a wide receiver more. What about Ridley? Would a 26 do get it done for Ridley?
Yeah, so it's probably going to be a late projection. Would you do a 2 and a 3? Because it's probably going to be like 210 to 212 next year, knowing that your team's in a good spot. Because I would say Ridley's value is probably an early to mid 2.
If you give me a 4 back, I'll do a 2 and a 3.
Do I have a 4? I have a 26-4. Yeah, okay, I'll do that then.
All right. Let's get it done.
Funny enough, Caleb actually reached out to me today to make a deal, but we couldn't come to one.
On Ridley?
Well, he asked for Ridley, he asked for Ford, he asked for a couple other players, but we just couldn't come to one.
I would trade for Ford, but like I don't really need a running back as badly because I have so much running back depth. And like, is Ford versus Tracy really that much of a projection difference?
If Tracy gets ruled out, we can maybe even revisit that too.
Well, he was my flex anyway, so I'm going to play Ridley over both of them right now.
Fair. Right. Okay. Did you want to add the 25 or 26-3?
I'd rather add the 26.
Sounds good. Figured I'd ask because the 25, you'd see they're going to be 311 or 312. 26, maybe there's a little bit more upside, but realistically, it's probably going to be similar range. So I just sent it over, and we sent it at the same time.
Over as well.
I mean, who wants to accept, me or you? Doesn't really matter.
Is it letting me? I don't see the trade for some reason on my.
Here, I can accept.
Oh, trades. There it is. Yeah.
I just accepted it then because it didn't show for you. All right, dope.
All right, now I got to put
live trades.
Oh, what the hell? It just for some reason I was trying to swap out Tracy from my starting lineup, and it was letting me put Drake May in for a regular flex spot. I was like, that doesn't seem legal, but I will do it if it allows me.
System's gaming you.
Yeah.
I think the last on-air deal we made, it was when you were trying to make a trade with AJ, and then I ended up making a trade with AJ on the live stream. If you remember that in the listener league,
I do. Yeah, I'm one player over the roster limit. Oh God,
just drop it, bum. Like, who do you
have? How about Odell Beckham? See you later.
Odell Beckham. You don't want his most. But what about Zach Wilson buried there?
No, Zach Wilson's staying on the squad, man. He's winning a ring.
Dude, aren't you scared about who Caleb picked up, bro?
No.
He picked up the GOAT, bro. He picked up Tom Brady. If there's one person that knows how to win, it's Tom Brady.
Facts. That is true. That is true. Okay. We are done with questions, I think. Let me just do a refresh quick times.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we should be good on questions. I would like to quickly shout out my Pick'em entry if you want to do the same. And then if there's any time, we can go over your last league. I think Pick'em entry supersedes is all I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's fine. I got a couple teams I wanted to go through.
So I went with Keenan Allen lower than 9.5 targets tonight. He has the toughest matchup on the field in the slot there, and he has gotten a lot of targets in 3 of his last 7 games, but 2 of them have been against Minnesota and 1 against Detroit, who are allowing the most targets to wide receivers. This one's a lot more of a tougher matchup. DK Metcalf, lower than the fantasy points there. I like him to go lower because he's been basically below this total, like higher than this total, in like 1 of his last 6 games. And then Fant, I like lower than his fantasy points because he has not scored a touchdown this year. So for him to get 6.45 fantasy points in half PPR, basically that sounds like 50 yards and 4 catches. So I just don't think that's very likely.
Yeah, no, it's actually funny that you mentioned a Keenan Allen lower because mine actually has a Keenan Allen higher on it. We'll start it off. I mean, Zach Charbonnet higher than 71.5 rushing yards. You pretty much labeled the matchup. Obviously, very cupcake matchup going up against Chicago. We both believe that he will get the workload again. I mentioned Kenny McIntosh is a potential risk, but realistically, it should be Charbonnet's backfield. Hence why I have him as a top 10 running back in my rankings this week. Keenan Allen higher than 60.5 receiving yards. So that's where we disagree. I understand that the matchup is tougher. However, when you're isolating since the Minnesota game, we're talking about a guy that has had 23, 28, 41, 54 targets in the last 5 games he's played. So in that stretch, 86, 73, did have 1 dud obviously against San Francisco. The entire passing offense, I believe, completely faltered. Caleb Williams wasn't protected up front. I believe the Niners won that game, 38-13, if I recall. So that was the one dud in that stretch. But ever since then, he's been absolutely money. We're still also talking about a guy that was really hampered by injury earlier in the year. We've seen this guy be productive in the past. It finally looks like he's healthier, which is why I am banking on that. And we both shared the DK Metcalf lower than 11.25. So there's not much more to reiterate because I feel like you made a good case for it.
Yeah, for sure. So we should be going into it. The game has kicked off now.
Show my teams quick.
Yeah, you can go ahead and show your teams. Game is kicked off. Hopefully you guys have some good performances tonight. I should mention also that shout out to Zach Charbonnet because I am currently up against Nathan in the toilet bowl. The score is 22.4-8. It would be higher if Patrick Mahomes didn't decide to troll me at every single possibility because I have sat Patrick Mahomes now twice this year. And in both games this week, 26 fantasy points. The other week I sat him was the infamous sitting Patrick Mahomes for Dak Prescott week. And he ended up scoring 24.54 fantasy points against my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fun fact, Danny, 2 of his best 3 games this season, the 2 times that I've sat him. So that's fun. And I am planning to start Anthony Richardson, who is questionable. So that's also fun.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like AR is going to be playing. Apparently, he's been dealing with some soreness, and plus, this is still a Colts team that is in the hunt. So don't see them benching him, assuming that he's ready to go. This is one of my other semifinal teams. Again, I am in 6. I'll quickly breeze through them. I'm not going to give the full rundown, but Purdy, Barkley, Kyron, Evans, Wilson, Laporta, Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane, Drake London, and Malik Neighbors. Am starting only one quarterback because Cooper Rush with no CD Lamb is no bueno. Although if Malik Neighbors is out, I will actually have to make that switch. And then we also have written down here the chosen one himself, CD Lamb, being labeled out for the year, which is not ideal for you, boy. But
also, we should mention that we do have Jalen Wright on our Best Ball Mania team. He's just not really relevant, so we didn't mention him. But here's who we got to cheer for. We got Lamar already had a great game, so Love would have to have a monster game to actually hit our lineup. Then, Danny, if you have the screenshot, if you want to even just pull it up so I don't have to list the players off. Josh Jacobs, Tajay Spears, James Conner are our main 3 running backs. Then we have Jalen Wright. Keaton Mitchell actually had a couple points for us in the chat there, so feel pretty good. And then you passed it already. Go down.
Yeah.
There we go. That's not the right team. That's the guy in first. Still in first. There we go. So Lamar, Love, Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Tajay Spears, Jalen Wright, Keaton Mitchell with 5.3. Interesting little floor there for us at running back. And then if you scroll down to the next screenshot, you'll see the wide receivers. Jefferson obviously needs to have a monster game. He has to crush. Addison probably has to crush. BTJ has to crush. And then Dontavian Wicks, an interesting play because Bateman and Collins, neither of them having a good game is really bad for us, unfortunately, because we don't have Kirk. We're missing a wide receiver as it is.
We are very thin at
not having a good game, and Collins not really having that great of a game is bad for us. But TJ Hawkins and Jonnu Smith should be able to get us some more points at the wide receiver position. If we had just gotten like a 16-point game out of Collins, I would feel a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, would have been great if he fucking smashed, especially considering the matchup was there for him to smash. But it's unfortunate you can't really smash when CJ Stroud is looking like rookie year Bryce Young.
Yeah, we kind of like, I'm willing to sacrifice TJ Hawkinson not getting any production if it all goes through Addison and Jefferson, and Jonnu's the guy that we like that hits our lineup at tight end. That would be best case scenario, I think, for us there.
For sure. So I mean, for what it's worth too, if we have 3 wide receivers, it's Jefferson, it's BTJ, and it's Wicks, and then you end up having Hawkinson make the lineup in the flex, that would also pay the same for what it's worth. But
well, yeah, and we also have 3 running backs that have good projections too that could hit our flex as well.
Regardless, though, so you're covering my share screen, I believe. So switch.
Sorry.
Switch? Yeah, you're good. This is the one in the listener league. I actually lost to Nathan, aka Ruffalo Rills, in the championship last year, but we have a little rematch here. You guys can see his team on the side. I'll just go through mine: Herbert, Gibbs, Kyron, Puka, Jamar Chase, Trey McBride, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen in the lineup this week. This is by far my most stacked team. I have like Breece Hall, Tajay Spears, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf on the bench. So feeling good. Just want to win a fucking championship. That's pretty much where I'm at with this. Have a championship here against Marco. Unfortunately, we do lose Lamb. However, we did have Lamar in the lineup. We did have Mark Andrews in the lineup. They're not showing because it's a best ball glitch for some reason. Breece Hall, Jacobs, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, Calvin Ridley, David Njoku. I would also be fucked if Tony Pollard doesn't play here. did have Dak Prescott, but we also have Cooper Rush there at quarterback. And of course, like I said, we hopefully don't need to rely upon Cooper Rush because we have some flex players, maybe Namir Abdullah spike week here, or maybe our Tyler Algier here, Jerome Ford here, Brian Robinson here, Cortland Sutton. Like we got guys that I feel confident in to fill in the lineup, even if it's only one quarterback. Last for league best ball here, I am playing Marco in it again here. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Mark Andrews are the guys that are not showing in the lineup right now. But we got Bijan, we got Gibbs. Then, of course, we have another league here. Unfortunate, but AJ Brown, Puka Nacua, Amari Cooper, Terry McLaurin, Michael Penix. Maybe I'd be shocked if he worked in the lineup given those quarterback scores, but who knows? Charbonnet, Javonte, maybe solid matchup there against Cincinnati. You're going down there. Probably not much else. Ridley, maybe. Elijah Moore, maybe. But realistically, more than likely going to be the guys higher in that board. Where is the other one? I believe. Oh, it's Box Munchers, right? I believe that I've gone through all 6 here. But A-Rich, again, expected to play here. Great matchup if he does play against the Giants. Top 8 quarterback if he goes. Devon Achane, Zach Charbonnet, Garrett Wilson, Justin Jefferson, JSN, Jonnu Smith, Deebo Samuel, and Tyrone Tracy. And if Tyrone Tracy does not work in this week, we do have a guy like Rico Dowdle that can sub in. If A-Rich doesn't go, we have Bryce Young on the bench here. And ultimately, I mean, David Njoku's not going to play more than likely, but if he does play, he would also be an option to replace Tracy. But I had to motor move it.
McIntosh was his first touch.
I think he's trolling.
But anyways, yeah, appreciate you guys for joining us, and stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll have the tier list going for you guys, and yeah, hopefully you guys had a good holiday. Hopefully we win some cash. I got DJ Moore going tonight in 2 of my 4 championships, and Geno Smith in one of the Debbie Degeneracy one, and then I also have JSN going in the listener league, so I'm hoping for a big one, and it looks like Kenny McIntosh just had another run, so maybe that's what he was referring to. But anyways, appreciate you guys for joining us. Good luck tonight.
Take care. Why did I have to say